Dragon Ball Z Kakarot honestly has so many references, callbacks, and recreations of iconic scenes that it's almost impossible to actually list all of them. The love and respect the developers clearly have for Akira Toriyama's goofy, over-the-top martial arts masterpiece shines through everywhere you look in this game, and if you're a die-hard Dragon Ball fan, there's just so much to like. Even if you don't know or care who the Crane Hermit or Nam or whoever this guy is are, there's still a lot of fun stuff to be found here. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 secrets and Easter eggs in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Starting off at number 10, Android 21 from Dragon Ball Z Fighters is in this game. You don't actually get to fight them. It's basically just a cameo, but still, it's fun to see one of the more memorable non-canon characters make a surprise appearance. If you don't know, Android 21 is another one of the Red Ribbon Army remnants, but outside of that, there doesn't really seem to be much that's concrete about her. It's implied she's got the cells of multiple villains inside her, like Frieza. I mean, look at her transformation. She just looks like a female Majin Buu. So she's probably got Buu cells too. Having both a good and an evil side, she sort of acts as both the mentor and the villain in Fighter's bizarre plot. But you don't really see any of that in this game. Here she's just a lab assistant to Dr. Briefs, who informs you that Bon Yu can be faced in the training room. That's basically her singular purpose, so it's unclear if she's got some ulterior motive or is just an alternate timeline where she's not a killer robot. Who can really say in this game?
Wait, what are you doing?
And at number 9, there is time travel in this game. You know, outside of the regular everyday storyline time traveling. When you beat the game, Bulma and Capsule Corp manage to salvage Trunks' timeline and fix it up, allowing you free access to the time stream. Apparently, this is going to be used for DLC side stories, as well as allowing you to return to previous sections of the game if you want to replay story sections or complete any sub-stories you might have missed. It's not quite Chrono Trigger, also by Toriyama, but it's close enough. Number 8, here's a kind of ridiculous one, partly because of how faithful it is to the source material, and partly because of how pointless it actually is. I'm talking about the story that basically abridges and recreates the episode Goku's Ordeal, the 8th episode of the Cell Saga. What happens in this episode is that Goku goes to driving school and takes Piccolo with him, which this episode was considered filler by a lot of people. It wasn't adapted from the original manga, it's literally just there to fill time. Most of the filler episodes are hated because of how pointless they are, but this one, having such a goofy and fun premise, may be the most well-known and well-liked filler episode, and the developers went about adapting it with the same obsessive detail they devoted to the rest of this game. Look, both instructors look almost exactly the same as they did in the anime, and the premise is the same. Goku's competitive nature takes over, him and Piccolo end up racing. It's fun, it's weird, and it's super awesome to see in this game because you would never expect something this silly to end up in the game, but honestly, in my opinion, it helps the game pass the smell test much better. There's just something weirdly authentic about including this. It's not because it was massively necessary or anything. It certainly wasn't. It's really a part of the series that frankly doesn't even need to be there, but I enjoyed the hell out of that episode, and a lot of other people did. It's full of personality, and that's a good reason to make something like that, in my opinion. I'm thankful it's in this game.
Well, the thing is, they also said we'd have to pay for all the damages caused during the test. I'm not so good with money, so I'll let you handle that. Thanks, TG.
And on to number 7, there is a secret boss here. If you played the Xenoverse games, it may look familiar. The boss is Mira, the history-changing villain from that series. To get him to appear, you need to take out all the villainous enemies that appear around the world. Do that, and Mira will appear. This guy doesn't screw around. They'll stomp you flat in seconds if you're unprepared, and they're probably the hardest boss in the game. Worst thing about him, you don't even get to defeat them. You beat him up and his sister, partner, whatever they've got going on, will just take him to a new timeline, and that makes the excuse that he's still incomplete. That's why he's lost. Still, it's really fun to see characters from other Dragon Ball games in here. At number 6, Android 8, otherwise known as Aider, is back. Everyone knows Androids 19 and 20, Android 16, 17, and 18, but not as many people remember the original Android, ironically number 8, which we're talking about at number 6. It's Numberception. Originally one of the Red Ribbon Army's goons in the Muscle Tower, Aider never really wanted to fight and ends up being one of the many opponents that Goku befriends on his adventures. He's also pretty much Frankenstein. He's even got the furry coat that looks a hell of a lot like Marvel's Frankenstein, who is also basically a good guy rather than the monster killer he was from the Universal movies. He pops up pretty early in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and helping him out leads to dealing with another fun reference, these Red Ribbon Army robots that are menacing people. They really went out of their way here because these things rarely show up. You're normally dealing with these funky skull robots rather than these Red Ribbon dudes, so it's cool they put the extra effort and added them in, on top of being able to see Ader. Coming in at number 5, Fishing with Your Tail. This one goes all the way back to the beginning. Like literally the beginning. The first scene of the first episode of the original Dragon Ball anime was Goku catching a fish with his tail. So if you thought it was strange that one of the first things you see in this game is Goku strapping a fake tail to his butt and wiggling his behind-it fish off a pier, this is why. Thankfully, it's not a direct reference because, well, in the original Goku was naked. He was a naked baby, so thankfully they decided to adapt the script rather than, make it exactly the same. And the whole thing's, let's just go ahead and say, awkward enough as it is.
You're a weird one, aren't you?
And at number 4, Emperor Pilaf and the Pilaf gang are here. The first recurring villain of the entire Dragon Ball story, Emperor Pilaf and his gang, Mai and the fox ninja guy named Shu, wanted to acquire the Dragon Balls and wish for world domination. Being they're the bad guys from what was primarily a gag comic with a light story, not much else at the time, the Pilaf gang never ended up being very threatening, and to this day remain pretty harmless goofballs with delusions of grandeur. Still, their importance in the entire Dragon Ball story can't be understated. They were the first to actually use, or attempt to use, the Dragon Balls, and they were the first to have to deal with Goku's Great Ape transformation, which was later said to be a trait of all Saiyans and plays a prominent role in the climax to the battle with Vegeta. It's funny because if you only watch Dragon Ball Z, you'd probably have no idea who these guys are, but if you've been catching up with Dragon Ball Super or watched any of the new movies like the Battle of the Gods or Resurrection F, they actually play a fairly prominent role in them. Now just make it so you can fight a powered up Pilaf machine and this game will be perfect. Moving on to number 3, you can refight previously beaten characters. To do this, you need to get far enough into the game that you can actually collect Dragon Balls, which is surprisingly far, like more than halfway. Once you get them, you got a few things you can ask of Shenron. You can get money, Z orbs, rare materials, or you can bring someone back to life and fight them again. The funny thing about this is that selecting and bring back, like Frieza doesn't just make it so you replay the previous fight. It actually brings them back to life and makes them appear somewhere in the world, along with some kind of comment about how they're surprised or pleased they're alive again. It would have been so easy to just half-ass this and make it like a refight menu, but the fact they put this extra bit of character into the whole thing makes it so much better. Again, just really a testament to the developers of this game putting their heart and soul into this. And of course, this being Dragon Ball, bringing someone back to life just makes them even stronger because, of course, right? The stakes have to raise, otherwise that second battle just is the first battle again.
I'm gonna pound you into a pulp!
And at number 2, put the mic in his hands, it's the Bad Man. Yeah, I know, it's just a goofy costume that Vegeta wears post-Namek. But seriously, the fact that it's your default costume for Vegeta for this section of this game is just perfect. If you're not a longtime fan of Dragon Ball, then seeing Vegeta in a pink shirt with the Bad Man thing on the back probably doesn't mean anything to you, but that stupid shirt has been the joke of an entire fandom for a long time. Way too long, in fact. I mean, just look it up online. People love this stupid thing. It's maybe the most iconic and ridiculous of Vegeta's casual looks. I mean, Dad Mustache Vegeta comes in a close second, but Badman Vegeta it takes the cake. The cake is gone, it's been stolen and hauled off. Sure, it's not exactly secret or even that obscure, but it's something you only see featured by crazy Dragon Ball Z fans who aren't afraid to make Vegeta look a little stupid once in a while, and that's who made the game, apparently. It's just another endearing trait for the planet-destroying prince, and of course a fun Easter egg to see in the game. And finally, at number 1, this is really stupid, but when Krillin, Gohan, and Vegeta team up on Namek, they eventually get free reign of Frieza's ship, and that's when Vegeta tells them to change into some spare battle suits. After they change, that's when Krillin busts out this line: "It feels like I'm not wearing anything at all. Anything at all. Anything at all. Anything at all."
It feels like I'm not wearing anything at all.
remind you of anything? Like, oh, I don't know, stupid sexy Flanders? Yeah, it's probably a stretch, but I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't care. If anyone's gonna make a Simpsons reference, it's gonna be Krillin, right? He really is the Flanders of Dragon Ball Z when you think about it. Or not, I don't know. This might be exactly what they said in Japanese for all I know. I can't speak it. But I am imagining it is a Simpsons reference on the part of the localization team. Thank you very much. And that about does it for today. What did you think? Have you done any of this? Have you seen any of this? Is any of this tickling your fancy? Leave us a comment, let us know. And if you like this video, click the like button. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe and enable all notifications. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconAHero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.